With a flourish, I tied the end of the towel to the stick with a textbook reef knot. I could see that crack would make a good anchor point. Well, that looked really safe, but I had no choice. I hadn't anticipated going mountaineering when I'd come to Syria. I didn't like the idea of putting my hand in there. But there was something in there. A metal ring, as wide as my hand. I took a firm hold of the ring and pulled. Whoa there! Around the corner, I found the corpse. Oh my God. Klausner? Large as life and twice as dead. I'd hardly had time to accept the fact when I heard the door mechanism start up again. Oh man, no! The door had slammed shut, trapping me. I had a bad feeling about how Klausner had died. Okay, all right. I've done more fun things in my life than searching a corpse. But as my life expectancy wasn't great, I figured I should try every new challenge that came my way. Hey, what's this? I'd found some kind of lens. A very old lens made from a very hard glass. That settled it. The knight on the manuscript had been holding a lens the whole time, not a crystal ball. I couldn't take the inscription with me, and I didn't have a notebook or a camera to record it. All I could do was stare at it and try to memorize it. In accidenta sita est in ora mundi. Okay. That would have to do. I couldn't think of anything to do with the statue, apart from scaring small children with it. I'd searched Klausner once and knew that the lens was the only thing he'd been carrying. No portable phone, no demolition charges, no 5-course meal. You'd think international conspirators would go around better equipped. I couldn't take the inscription with me, and I didn't have a notebook or a camera to record it. All I could do was stare at it and try to memorize it. In accidenta sita est in ora mundi. Okay. That would have to do. The mouth's opening. It must be Ultar. My God. If he comes in, we'll both be trapped. Ultar! Don't come in! It's a trap! Stay where you are! You!
Hello, Mr. Stobart. We meet in the most unusual places. Please, do not make any sudden moves. I have no desire to maim you.
Did you say maim?
I did. Dead men tell no tales, as you say. And I want to hear everything that you have to tell.
And what if I don't want to talk?
Then I shall, most regrettably, have to kill you. Rest assured, however, that I am an excellent shot you would not suffer.
Oh, that's good. Believe me, I'm really assured.
It is rather dark in here. I think we should conduct our business outside.
Why should I make myself an easier target?
If I fire at you, Mr. Stobart, I shall hit you even in here. But, unfortunately, my marksmanship will suffer. It could be the difference between hitting you in the leg or the groin.
Boy, it sure is hot in here.
No sudden moves, Mr. Stobart. Now then, where shall we start?
How about being bosom buddies and you putting that gun away?
Klausner, do you know where he is?
Yep, he's dead. Just around the corner of the cave. You want to look?
I'll take your word for it. How did he die?
Starvation or dehydration by the look of it.
He was caught in this trap you were shouting about? Yes, I suspected as much. The Templars were not ones to give away their secrets lightly. Was he carrying anything of importance?
No, nothing.
So, why is this location important? What did the Templars hide here if not an artifact?
Well, there is something, I guess, but you can't move it.
Yes? What is it?
It's a treasure map. X marks the spot.
Come now, do you expect me to believe that?
Yeah, okay. You caught me. But round the corner, there is something in Latin up on the wall.
Latin? Do you remember it, Mr. Stobart?
In accidenta cita est, in ora mundi.
Ah, the words of Caesar. Yes, that makes sense.
Well, I know that roughly it means to the west, to the edge of the world. But what the heck is that about?
It tells me where the sword of Baphomet lies. Mr. Stobart, I am sure that you are just what you appear to be. A gifted amateur.
Thanks, I think.
But I can no longer tolerate your interference. There is far more at stake than you realize.
So what are you going to do?
I regret that we must end this here and now. Your only choice now is whether you die like a man or like a dog.
Okay, you're the boss. I'll take my medicine.
You are an honorable man, Mr. Stobart, a rare breed. I should like to shake your hand.
Yeah. Well, what the heck? It was a long way down. Below, I could see Ultar's truck. Luckily, the canopy on Ultar's truck broke my fall.
Thank goodness for that.
The worst part of the experience was Ultar's driving.
What about the lens? Is it still in one piece?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's good to see you again, George.
Really? Well, I have to say, I'd have enjoyed Syria a lot more if you'd been there.
I wouldn't have been much help. Anyway, you did just fine on your own.
Have you any idea what this lens might be used for?
As a magnifying glass, obviously. I'm sure you'll find it very useful.
I'll be back as soon as I can.
Okay.
Hi, Andre.
Hello, Georgie.
What's with the long face?
Haven't you heard? The tripod was stolen.
No kidding.
I just don't get it. So many other treasures, and the thieves choose the tripod.
A modern-day alchemist, perhaps?
Who knows? There's no shortage of crazies in Paris. Hey, I visited Nicole's apartment.
Yeah, she told me you came by.
Ooh, quite a fine Georgie boy. I didn't expect anything quite so sexy.
I hope you're referring to the manuscript.
Oui, of course. Where have you been? Nicole said you were away.
I just returned from Syria.
Syria? On the trail of the Templars?
It's a long story, but I found the bull's head. It was referred to on the manuscript, remember?
Yes, what is it?
A secret cave built into a high cliff face. In the cave, I discovered a map bearing a phrase in Latin. In Occidenta Cita Est in Ora Mundi.
The island of Britain.
Lies at the edge of the world to the west.
Strange. That map seems to contain a series of pointers.
Like I said, it's a treasure map. What can you tell me about Philippe le Bel?
He was responsible for the extermination of the Knights Templar.
I know that, but why was Philip so hot to get rid of them?
Mostly because he wanted to get his hands on their treasure. He had an enormous debt and a lifelong war with England to fund. The trouble was, the Templars were a highly respected holy order.
If the Templars were so powerful, how did this Philippe dude wipe them out?
By underhanded, dishonorable means, of course. The Pope was Clement V, a Frenchman.
French, huh? Handy for Philippe.
Fate had nothing to do with it. He was Philippe's puppet, planted to further his political ambitions. Philippe wanted the wealth of the Templars and used Clement to get it.
So what was Philippe's plan? What happened?
Sealed orders were sent out all over France, not to be opened until the appointed day. That day was Friday, July 13th. That's the origin of our superstition regarding that date. At dawn, throughout the whole of France, the Templars were arrested. It was the biggest bust in the history of the world.
What happened to the Templars after their arrest?
Philippe was out for blood, so he handed the Templars over to the Inquisition. Not surprisingly, they confessed to a sensational and sordid list of blasphemies.
Like what?
Oh, the sort of things you read about in the gutter press. Devil worship, lewd sexual practices, spitting on the Holy Cross, that kind of thing.
Well, that must have given their lawyers some headaches.
Whether or not the accusations were true, this was not good publicity. Most of the charges were probably cooked up, but so were the Templars, literally. Hundreds of them were found guilty of heresy and flamed grilled at the stake. They died protesting their innocence.
What did you make of the manuscript?
It dates from the time of the Crusades.
We guessed that from the Templar seal.
It's a story and pictures like a modern-day comic book.
What story does the manuscript tell?
I don't know. It was probably produced for the tourist market.
Tourists?
Oh, oui, pilgrims in their thousands on their way to Jerusalem. The tourist trade is nothing new, you know. It's been around for centuries. Ever since Joshua made a packet selling souvenir bricks from the walls of Jericho.
Have you deciphered any of the images on the manuscript?
There's very little I can be sure about. The slang of the bull could be a reference to Mithras.
Who's he?
A Persian god, almost as popular as Christ at one time. The only thing I can be sure of is the knight. He's Spanish.
How can you tell that?
The writing on the shield, the reference to Ave Maria. No self-respecting knight from Northern Europe would have borne a coat of arms like that.
Can you identify the knight's coat of arms?
I already did, Georgie. He's a member of the De Vasconcelos family from the Costa Calida.
Were they famous?
No. They're not mentioned after the 15th century.
Oh,
The spotlight of history moved on. They are probably long dead.
do you think the manuscript could be the map to the Templar treasure?
Frankly, no. That's too far-fetched. The manuscript is interesting enough and a rare find, but that's all.
Wouldn't it be terrific if it was a map, though? The treasure of the Knights Templar.
A romantic notion, Georgie, but extremely improbable.
But surely Philippe had no proof of his charges against the Templars.
A man will admit anything under torture. The Inquisition fabricated some nonsensical demon called Baphomet, and then suggested to their victims that this was what they worshipped.
But they didn't have to agree.
The records show a Templar coming to trial with both feet burnt off. Fragments of flesh and charred bone falling from the stumps. What would you not admit to stop such torment?
So there was no truth at all in the Baphomet accusations?
Not a shred. Almost every victim described the idol differently. No, Baphomet never existed outside the sick minds of the Inquisitors.
So Philippe stole the Templars' riches, huh?
Oh no, they weren't stupid. The king's troops marched first on the temple in Paris, then to the Templar home port at La Rochelle. There was no trace of the treasure, and the fleet of the Knights Templar had set sail.
Does this lens mean anything to you?
Nothing.
Thanks for your help, Andre.
You're welcome.